Insecurity is always a thief. It's always a thief. And geography is never an accident. That one's going to come later. So just a little bit about me. I didn't like coffee 9 years ago. So I got into it reluctantly. So I tend to live my life by a set of rules that I find out when people want to extend hospitality to me. If I just have these arbitrary rules of what I do or don't do, I don't come off as rude when I reject it. I come off as principled. So in my 20s, I came up with just a list of arbitrary rules, and they're things like this. They would say, John, why don't you smoke? And just the rule that I came up was, I don't enjoy things on fire that close to my face. Folks would say things like, John, do you want salad? And I said, well, I don't eat salad because it tastes like outside. That was a rule that I had. They'd say, John, why don't you like the outside? And my rule was, I like the outside, but I think the best use of outside is on its way to inside, right? And so when folks would say, hey, John, do you want a cup of coffee? The rule that I created for myself was, I don't think beverages should be warm, right? Warm liquid already has a name. It's either bath water or soup, and I don't find either particularly appetizing, right? Well, all of that changed for me when, as a 27-year-old pastor, I just found myself working these early mornings and late nights, and I got to a place where I had to have something to keep me up. All we had in the house were these little Folgers instant crystals that my mom and my dad left, so my wife made it for me, and I tasted it, and I said, it's not that bad. So then what I did was what I do with everything that I get involved in. I really started to just nerd out on it and just try to explore what it was like. And so in 2012, I got a chance to start traveling the country to speak. Twitter was just starting to pop off then. So whenever I would land in a place, I would tweet and ask folks, where are the best coffee shops? And all over the country, I would walk into these shops and I started to notice a coincidence. My introduction to coffee was filled with insecurity. Every time, just as a black man in the US, I found myself walking into the front door of an interest. Insecurity was there to greet me, telling me that I didn't belong. So I walked into a coffee shop, and this is what I saw, right? These are the dudes. You know him, the bearded white dude with a axe, the too tight pants on, rolled up. You see the little boots. I wore a flannel today to show my solidarity with the coffee community, but I'm married, right? So there's no way that my wife would let me leave the crib showing that much cleavage. But I would see these guys and I would feel like I don't belong. So I spent my time trying to research and search, just trying to look for somebody that looked like me, that was involved in this thing. And I had to dig and dig and dig. And then when I found out how coffee started, my mind was blown. I know there's some of y'all in here that may know this story, but if you don't, humor me. This is what my introduction to coffee should have been. Over 1,000 years ago, coffee was discovered in Africa. An Ethiopian goat herder named Kaldi was with his goats, and he saw that when his goats would eat these cherries, the goats would be turned, just lit. And he said, what is this? So we pulled it out, found out that I can take the bean, roast it, grind it, pour water on it, and create coffee. And he discovered it, right? Not a Christopher Columbus discovery where I find somebody's paper and put my name on it. This was an actual one. So I spent my time trying to find somebody that looked like me that was involved in coffee, and I was blown away when I found out, no, wait. It's not just people that look like me that are involved. The inventor of it was from the same continent that my parents were grown up in, and that completely changed my perspective. Insecurity had me ready to give up on an interest because I felt like I didn't belong. But then the more and more that I dug and found folks that looked like me started it, I felt like, yo, I've got to carry this on, right? And the reason why I say that is because it's crazy, right? I was frustrated that I had to dig and I had to do all of this hard work to find somebody that looked like me. The inventor of coffee had no clue that 1,000 years later, it would be the second most consumed beverage globally, right? Water, coffee, Coca-Cola. But he had no clue that even though it reached this far, his face would be all but forgotten, even though the pigment of the drink mirrored his own. So that set us on a spot where we're like, yo, other people have to know this story. Insecurity is a thief. It'll have you convincing, or it will convince you that forfeit is better than failure. And once we saw this portrait, things changed for us. Point one, insecurity is always a thief. Point two.